Today, let's take a look at compound engineering. If you have been using Claude Code and have used the Superpowers plugin, which is part of official plugin marketplace, it's a plugin that allows you to have a structured tool for development. There's planning, there's actual code execution, code review, there's code simplifier, things of that nature. So those are all part of the Superpowers plugin inside of Anthropic's plugin. However, we now are looking at a similar plugin called Compound Engineering. And this is a plugin that one of my community members turned me on to, and I've been testing it out on a few projects, and it's really, really good. So I want to show you guys this and how I currently set this up for one of my projects inside of Visual Studio Code and how I'm using that to implement the functionality as I'm building out a specific app. As you can see here, there's a bunch of planning, brainstorming skills inside of Compound Engineering. They also have an ideate skill as well. And then the code review, there's the codify knowledge piece here is pretty interesting, so that after every session that it's going to execute some work, this is the main one that you would use is CE-work. After it's done working and has finished all the work, it will actually document some of the findings and learnings from that task list or that plan that it just executed and add that to your docs folder inside of your project. This is something that I'm currently using and I'm really excited about and happy with what the results have been so far. And the way I've set this up is that inside my Visual Studio Code, I'm in WotAI SoccerSkills. This is a new app that I'm currently building out as part of my 10 episode series for production Claude Code. As I'm building this app out, I thought I'd take the opportunity to use Compound Engineering as a fresh start, a brand new app. And what I've done here is, in addition to my typical CLAUDE.md file, I actually added it as a AGENTS.md file. And this AGENTS.md file will be read as soon as CLAUDE.md file is loaded. So this AGENTS.md will be first, and then the rest of the content inside my CLAUDE.md will be read. What I did was I asked Claude Code to help me integrate compound engineering into my development process. As you can see here, my agents.md is just solely focused on my development process. I've integrated linear into my workflow, into my process, because that's an important piece of my development process where everything starts with the issue, a linear issue. And from there, the issue determines the new branch and then the commits and the pull requests underneath that. So very much structured source control, issue management. That's how I always handle my development process. So that's regardless of whether I'm using compound engineering or not. This is something I do pretty much every single time. As I was saying, we always start with a linear issue, and then we have our source control process with branching, commits, and pull requests. And you can see here that really this is the TLDR version. We're going to do some brainstorming if the task is large enough. We're going to create a plan, again, if the task is large enough. If it's a smaller task, then it'll just go straight to the work component. If you are familiar with work trees, you can do that as well. But I think I might remove this in the future where I just wanted to use proper branching. I don't need to use work trees to do multiple tasks at the same time. I prefer it to be more linear. So that's kind of how I work. And then once it's done working, it's going to do the testing, the code review, the PR. So here we have our branching skills, right? So for pull requests, for commits and things of that nature, it's going to review that PR as some feedback comes back. And then finally, the compound portion where we are now documenting some of the findings from the plan that it just executed. And the rest of this here is just some additional detail on how to use certain skills and when to use them, and additional instructions about labels within linear and things of that nature. So I think this is something that every project that you're working on should have and should be structured. And so again, I have separated this out into an agents.md, and which will be read by Claude Code every time it starts to do some work. This is compound engineering. You can just Google compound engineering GitHub and you'll get to this GitHub page. And what you want to do is follow the instructions in loading this up. So if I come back into Claude Code and I go to /plugin, and you can go to Marketplace and you can see that I have the compound engineering plugin installed. I go into here, this only just has 2 plugins and I have auto update enabled, and I can just hit update Marketplace. And now this will add in whatever changes might have happened in that GitHub repository. And once I come back out here, then I can reload the plugin so that any changes that occurred are going to be updated here. There we go. That's compound engineering. Go check it out. And also look at how to set up your agents.md, which includes your development process. I think this is a good starting point for you guys to start from and modify it according to how you prefer to be working. Good luck. See you next time.